Welcome. These will be my thoughts on Young Jedi Adventures Season 2, Episode 15, Tenoo's Fastest, Home Sweet Temple. The episode is rated for, I want to say, 6 years and up, so will this video be. There will be spoilers for the show leading up to and including this episode, and possibly everything Star Wars leading up to and including it as well. And yeah, another good to great episode. So I am not the biggest fan of the pod racing in Phantom Menace. This I thought worked significantly better. One of the big things is that this show is not really about like, oh, the galaxy is going to be in the hands of fascists, not unlike America right now, if not for the actions of the heroic characters. That kind of thing, I don't really think it makes a lot of sense to just stop progress dead for several minutes as we're just watching a race. Like, I don't always think it's a bad thing for there to be a race in a piece of media, especially if that is like, if you're making a sports movie about racing, sure, I like the Cars movies, the Pixar. Yeah, just in case that wasn't clear. But yeah, for this show, it works well because it's just these, they are adventures, a series of small scale adventures. And here it really is just like, well, it seems wrong for the cheater to prosper, Like, I don't know, if he was in America, maybe he could become president, but yeah, I appreciated the various references. The cheating racer is the same species as Sebulba, though it is not Sebulba because the name is different. Still not loving that Star Wars racism where evil races are just evil and good races are just good so much of the time. And I thought right, and other references include the commentator. I don't know what, I'm not a sports person. I think that might be what they're called. And I yeah, and pit droids, though those are not exclusively seen in connection to pod racing and such in Star Wars anymore. And yeah, I like this thing of, the adult man encouraging the young woman, hey, you got this, like, your stuff. She just needs confidence. She's nervous around him. And when she finally accepts that she can do it, she nails it, and that is such an important message to, what's the word, to convey to children, especially girls. There's so much, yeah, so many misogynists try to keep them out of living their dream, and then when they actually get to like some of the greatest contributions to any human culture, women not necessarily did it on their own, but it's rarely the case that one person accomplishes something entirely on their own, but they were a vital factor. Like, without them it would not have worked. And I think that does pretty much cover. I don't know what happened to give Disney their nerve back, but yeah, this does bring back up that Nash's parents are two women, in a sapphic relationship, referred to by Nash as Mama and Mommy. They're I think the last two times that they referenced her parents, either we only saw one of them, and then of course she calls that one Mom, or she mentions both of them, but she says my parents instead of my mom's. And then in this one, she says my mom's, and then when we see them during the race, yeah, that's clearly two women. And I think that pretty much covers... Yeah, right. I guess it's been a while since I watched The Phantom Menace, but I think the Ben-Hurring we see in this episode is also a reference to the pod race. And yeah, I appreciate, in my opinion, the show does not need every action scene to be this big... I mean, yeah, I already mentioned the stakes, and yeah, it's fun to watch, and it is genuinely tense. I think that covers that first half. So, excuse me, the second half. At first, I thought it was going to be another thing of like Kai having to learn restraint, which I appreciate they didn't do. I don't know that we need more of those. I appreciate that, when you're teaching children something, repetition can be a, important tool there. And again, the show is for 6-year-olds. I think it's one of those things. I don't necessarily hate the idea that, if their parents are like, oh, they still haven't learned the lesson, ask them if they'd like to watch that episode again. And because that's another thing, a lot of children, like I remember when I was a kid, I did watch the same, I don't know, I think I had like 5 movies on VHS, animated children's movies. I watched those like dozens of times, I guess I don't know if like today with so much on offer, maybe children are less willing to watch the same exact thing, but yeah, I appreciated that was not the message. And the slapstick there with him knocking over so very much, that felt like they went full The Mummy, like the Brendan Fraser ones with that. I'm very fond of Rachel Weisz. That's why I watch them. And for her talent. For her talent, I mean. I'm okay with Brendan Fraser. Not the biggest fan of, his kind of the shtick he had back then, and really not a fan of, what was his name again? Steven something. Yeah, the director. But that's mostly for stuff like Van Helsing and that G.I. Joe movie. Holy crap. Anyway, yes. So yeah, the thing with, the Hutt, who is still quite fun, wasn't the biggest fan of, and they even do it more than once, this thing of like basically fat shaming, and I appreciate that's always been part of, like if you watch Return of the Jedi, like holy crap, that movie really wants you to connect being overweight, I mean really morbidly obese for, in the case of Jabba, with like just being repulsive, and yeah, that's really, really messed up. But yeah, I already forgot the name, but this Hutt is very fun and genuinely pretty cool with the droids, both the climbing ones and those spider ones later. There are times where the show and Star Wars, for some time now, I guess since the prequels really, it can sometimes feel like a bit of a toy advert, and this episode is not necessarily breaking that trend. Did also appreciate Home Alone Star Wars edition, and yeah, important message of, it's the people who make a home, not the material possessions, which is a crucial, challenging of materialism, consumerism, which is a major problem in America. And, obviously Disney are one to talk. It's woke washing. They don't actually mean it because they are also trying to get kids to buy toys. It's not too dissimilar from the way that, for a while, Saturday morning cartoons in America were like toy ads. And, you know, every so often there'd be like, okay, so here's a message your kids can take away from it, so that parents wouldn't be too frustrated that their kids are watching this brain rot slop. And I say that as someone who did used to watch, you know, in the 90s. I watched a bunch of, you know, like the 1987 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And even back then, I was like, this is not very challenging. Yeah, I think that might cover this entire episode. Yeah, I really appreciated that Nash got the helmet. And, you know, they are both standing on the podium. And yeah, I think that might just about cover. I could swear there was at least one more thing. I mean, I won't swear because, as mentioned, this video is for ages 6 and up. Let's see. What on earth? I swear, I am not going to take forever remembering it. If I don't remember it momentarily, I will simply end the video, but it's recently I've been trying to always recommend a YouTube video, but right now I'm not watching that many that are for ages 6 and up. So I guess I'll just say, you know, if kids are watching this, tell your parents they should make sure to watch, you know, the Some More News. They fairly recently did like a streaming more news, which was really excellent. And let's see. Right, I also appreciate it in this episode how like really telegraphed and obvious, like, you know, Kai and Ace are like, you know, it's to make sure the 6-year-olds aren't confused, you know. They're like, "Oh, no, I should do this now," you know, like, and the fact that the hut falls for it does also convey, you know, it's always been a major theme in Star Wars that not all, but a number of the villains fail because of their hubris, which is Greek for hubris.